Welcome to the Wellness Biz Academy, where we turn passionate practitioners into profitable practice owners. I'm Cass Duffield, corporate business strategist and naturopath, showing you how to build a thriving practice with simple, proven systems that work. Let's create the practice that you long to have, because it's time to start living your passion and growing your practice. Hi everyone and welcome. I'm so excited to have you back with us today. I've got an amazing episode lined up because I have the beautiful Jules White with us, who is a friend and an amazing entrepreneur from the UK. She is a web and an SEO strategist, so she is someone that we need in our corner right now. She specifically helps women in the health and wellness industry, which is right up our alley, and she's all about helping us understand how to make our websites work better so we can show up, we can get good Google rankings, and so we can convert our visitors into clients and into buyers. So, Jules, I'm so excited to have you here today. Welcome.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here with you.
Look, I'm so excited. I've got so many questions here for you, so I can't wait to dive in. So let's start with the obvious. Let's talk about SEO. Why is it so important for entrepreneurs to be thinking about SEO in their businesses?
Well, I think especially now it's more important than ever. We spend so much time and energy on social media and don't get the results that we want to from that. So I think it's certainly from wellness practitioners and people in the health and wellness industry, where they just want to be focusing on looking after their clients. So if we can put some work in on the SEO, the search engine optimization to begin with, then it just allows us to market our business in a more sustainable way. So we can get clients coming into our business every day, regardless of whether we're on the beach or walking the dog or working with our clients. It basically means that we can continue to be found in searches by people who are actually looking for our kind of business. So they're looking for a solution to their problem, and our business is that solution. So that's why it's so important, just to make sure that we have a more sustainable way of promoting our business, really.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, one of the things that my clients say to me quite a lot is that they struggle for clients, that consistent client flow. And I think understanding that SEO can be a really important part of that lead generation for them, bringing clients in. So all they're having to do is convert them into bookings, and they can be focused on, like you said, what they love to do, which is helping people. So Tell me, with that in mind, what are the common mistakes you see entrepreneurs in our field making when it comes to SEO?
So I think the biggest one is ignoring it. So pretending it doesn't exist. Definitely. So, and just getting caught up in that feeling of the overwhelm of it. So thinking, it's something I should do, but not actually even just putting the basics in place. So a lot of my clients, I work with them on getting the foundations of SEO in place. So we're maybe not at the point of developing intensive strategies around SEO to begin with, because they quite often people will come to me and they'll have heard of SEO and they're starting to think about going down that route, but they haven't got any foundations in place. So people can't even the people that know them can't find them on Google. So that's where I would always say to start, is to make sure that somebody who knows you, maybe someone you've met at a networking event, or somebody who's heard you speak or seen some of your social stuff, if they go to Google and type your name in, are you going to at least show up in those first few results at the top of Google? And the way we would do that is obviously then making sure that we are talking about our name in conjunction to what we actually do. So I think probably that's the big mistakes that I see people making, is that, as I say, ignoring it and just not focusing on the foundations, really. So getting those basics in place first and foremost.
And I think that's really common, isn't it? Particularly when we don't understand something, it can sometimes be easier to put those blinkers on and not really give it any time or attention. But this is something, we were talking before we started this about how SEO and marketing might not be the sexiest parts of running a business, but they are so important when it comes to running your business. Just out of interest, you were saying there that a lot of businesses that come to you don't have those SEO foundations in place. What would you say those are? What are those foundations you're looking for?
So I think working out firstly what the main topics you're talking about, what the main topics that you relate to your business and the problems that you solve, and then making sure that there's a page on your website that talks about each of those things. So getting that in place to begin with, as I say, making sure as well that you've got a page that talks about your name and what you do. That's the foundations, is getting those things in place, making sure that you've got pages that specifically try and target those keywords, so that you are showing up for the basics of your business. And then you can look at more creating more content around some specific things where you'd then be hoping to show up, at the top of Google. But I think just getting that understanding, so Google knows what you're talking about, what your website is about, and probably also understanding that Google ranks web pages rather than whole websites. You should give each page of your website a job. So that should be one particular keyword and one particular thing that page is actually associated with.
That makes so much sense, doesn't it? Because thinking about the people that I commonly help, we can often have websites that, yes, they've got an About Us page, but it's about the services. It's about making a booking, and it's not really diving into, the details on the problem that they're solving. Sometimes they can be very unclear and a bit wishy-washy about their niche. And so that obviously impacts their SEO, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think on the About page as well, often it's normally one way or the other. It's either, very, very wishy-washy, or it's talking too much about our story without actually relating that to how we help our clients with their problems, really. So I think we can definitely have a wall of text where it's talking about everything that we've done and all our qualifications and things like that. And it's not really going to help people then understand why you're the right person to help them with their problems.
Look, it's a really important point, isn't it? And it's something that I try to speak to my people about quite a bit, because we can often, particularly on an About page, don't we? We lead with our qualifications, our experience, how long we've done this. And I like to say a little bit, tongue in cheek, that people coming to our website are actually a little bit selfish. They're looking for what's in it for me. What can you do for me? How can you help me? So we need to lead with that, don't we? That kind of content, that's really SEO rich, and we need to lead with that and then back that up with our qualifications, our experience, the amount of time we've worked in the field, and all the other wonderful things that make us a great option. Do you find that to be true?
Yeah, I think so, definitely. And I think it's maybe finding ways to explain that and get that across where it's not a wall of text as well. I think that's we can very quickly show our qualifications by using something like a logo of where we study or that kind of thing. We don't necessarily need to go into all the details of, I went to college for 10 years and did this and did, so we can quickly get that across, because essentially we're just trying to get that trust across to people. So
that's a really good start for people understanding the type of foundational content that they can put on their site. One of the biggest questions I get asked is, how can I improve my Google rank? What's the quick trick? What's the quick fix? How can I improve my Google rank? I want to be on page 1 in a week. Jules, give us the magic tips.
Well, first of all, unfortunately, I do have some bad news about that. That generally, you're not going to be on page 1 in a week, although...
Oh, damn.
So we always think of SEO as a long-term strategy, but I would say that sometimes you can start to get quick wins. And I put out a new sales page, and I saw the next week in my Google Analytics that I had actually had a click through from Google. So I wasn't at, position 1 or anything like that. And it's not like suddenly everybody's going to that page, but just having one means that somebody had clicked through to that page from Google. It doesn't have to be months and months before you start getting some traffic coming through from Google. But there are ways that you can help to give yourself more of an advantage, so to leap up the ranking. So essentially what Google does is Google wants to deliver the best results for whoever's searching. That's Google's customers. That's what they want to do. So what we need to do from a website owner point of view is we need to make sure that what we have on our site is better than anything that's on page 1. So we work out what kind of keywords we want to rank for, and then we look at what's on page 1 and work out how we can make it better or put a different spin on it. And AI is really helpful for doing that. But one thing you can do is you can use a Google business profile, and that can help you to get some quick wins, because especially if you are a local business, I think definitely it's easier for local businesses. If you've got a pin in the map, you're much more likely to show up than if you haven't. So, but that I would still say use it for people who are online only. But if you can do that, you can essentially leap up the rankings, because you can appear in that maps at the top of a Google search page, and essentially that's where you see 3 businesses, local businesses that will show up on top, and then it goes through to your Google business profile. And if you've optimized your Google business profile, there's so much information that you can put in there. And that, I think that's probably another common mistake that people do. Google business profiles are all related to SEO. It's all about showing up on Google. And that's a really good way to leap up the rankings very quickly.
Oh, it's such a great idea, isn't it? So let's say someone is starting their Google business profile, and actually just caveat that, because I have had a few discussions lately. There's been some confusion out there between Google Analytics and Google My Business. Now, understanding that these are 2 completely different things. Analytics is where you can be tracking what's happening on your website. Then you've got Google AdWords, where you can be paying for advertising and paying for clicks. Google My Business is a free profile, just like your free Facebook page. So there's a lot of benefits on there. So Jules, where should someone start if they're looking to set up and optimize that profile?
So the first thing I would do is to go to Google Maps and type your business name in and see if there is already a profile there for you. And if there's especially if you are, as I say, if you're a physical location where clients come and actually visit you at your location, just check that first. Sometimes people have done something with it years ago and then they don't know, they're not quite sure what to do. So if that's the case, I would make sure you're logged into your Google account and then just type my business into the search bar. And if you've got a Google business profile that you've already activated or claimed years ago, you may see that as actually at the top of the thing, it will say your profile, you own this profile, and then you can click in and edit. If not, if you haven't got one there, then you'll see, if you type in my business, you should see a page that says sign up for Google business profile. So it's just essentially a listing.
But it's so good, isn't it? Because you're really just following the steps. The elements it's offering you and setting them up, adding your description or whatever else it's asking for, just like you would be setting up one of your social media platforms, I suppose.
There is one thing that does make it a little bit more tricky, and they have made it harder for non-location based businesses. So for online businesses, they have made it a little bit more tricky, because what we have to do is we have to get our profile verified, and they used to send out a postcard so you could verify the fact that you were at that location, even if you weren't actually displaying your location on your profile. That used to be the way that you verified your location. Now they do it by video. So you have to record a video to prove, essentially what they're trying to do is prove that you are a legitimate business. So I had a client recently who had to go through the video verification 30 times to get it to work. So the issue she had was she was a business, she was renting a room. So she was a business within a business, and Google doesn't like more than one business in a location. So they had to get a little bit creative about, and sometimes it is a case of you have to do that. You have to just get a little bit creative with what you're actually telling Google. And I've had it with online businesses where what we've actually encouraged them to do, because they don't have somewhere where clients come to them and they're not a plumber where they've got a van and they can show that side of the business, is they've actually shown their office where they work, and they've shown themselves logged into the back end of their website, and they've talked through that with Google. And that has worked for a few clients, where they've essentially, what you're trying to show Google is that if this is your business, you're the real person, and that you should have a profile.
Well, that's right. You're just trying to show that you are real, aren't you? So it's a great idea. That's a great idea. And look, the Google verification has always been problematic, even back in the postcard days. You would wait for 3 months and then it wouldn't come and you had to ask for it again. It's never been a great process.
So there that actually don't rely on it as your only marketing method. It's fantastic. And especially if people are just starting out and they haven't got a website, then setting up a Google business profile can be a really quick way to get yourself out there. But don't rely on it as your only method of marketing. In the same way as our Facebook pages and Facebook groups, obviously, as you know, Cass, they can just be gone. The same thing can happen with your Google business profile. I think sometimes, if we anger the Google gods, then the profile can be gone. So never rely on it. Definitely make the most of it. And it's going to be so much more useful than social media in terms of the longevity of it and in terms of connecting with the right people who are actually looking for your kind of help. But just bear in mind that it's part of our marketing strategy. It shouldn't be everything that we're doing, really, because we just don't want to rely on anything that we don't control. We don't want to rely on that, really.
And you're absolutely right. And it's funny, I think everybody in my world knows that Cass got hacked 2 years ago and lost her entire Facebook account and her group and everything else. So, I'm a big advocate of let's not put all our marketing eggs in the one little marketing basket. But what we do know too is right now, we need a really strong visibility marketing strategy. There is no one platform that is cutting it anymore. It's about having a presence across multiple. So you're so right that Google My Business profile and your SEO has to fall into that bigger visibility marketing plan that's so crucial to have for every business that's running an online component, whether you're fully online or not. So
Yeah,
Jules,
absolutely.
with just thinking about this GMB profile, so Google My Business, is it like blogs? Are we best to update it once a week, or is there another time frame that's more lucrative for getting the best results out of it?
So, I mean, if you were updating it once a week, then yeah, Google would love that, definitely. So if you're launching blogs releasing blogs every week, then I would be putting that as a post, because what we can do on our Google profiles is actually post on there in the same way that we would post on social media. It needs to be related to the business, but I would definitely be adding a post about that every week on our Google business profiles, because those posts can be on there they say for up to 6 months, but I definitely have seen that with clients where they've been on there for longer than that and they don't seem to disappear
Yes.
from the profiles.
Look,
Essentially what we're doing is just more ways for somebody to type into a Google search and then they see more information about your business. So what we're ideally aiming for is that a side panel comes up and shows your photos from your business and your posts and frequently asked questions. That's one of the areas that a lot of people don't ignore on Google Business Profile and don't realize that they can post the questions as the business owners and they can post the answers as well. And it's really powerful. Google doesn't have any problems with us doing that. So think about any frequently asked questions that could maybe contain the kind of keywords that people would be searching for around our business. So rather than it being like frequently asked questions could be, what are your opening hours? What are your prices? You don't want to put those kind of things on there that will be elsewhere on your profile, but using helpful questions that can then lead people to, within those frequently asked questions, to click on your profile. And you can then, if you've got particular questions that are really relevant for your audience, you can then go in and tick the like button on that question and if you get 2 other people to do that, any questions that get 3 likes will then automatically be at the top of your profile as well.
Well, and that's a really great option, isn't it? We all have business friends. So I think it's a great opportunity there to get together with a couple of business friends, put the right questions in. I think it's a great chance to put in a question, something like, who do you help? And then you can write specifically about your niche, 2 business buddies to come on in and give that a like as well. And that question that clearly states who you help is going to sit at the top of your profile. So, a nice little bit of a hack, but it's full of integrity. Okay, that's us. We're all integrity.
Yeah.
Something that can give us a helping hand with Google and growing our businesses is well worth it, I think. So that's a really great idea. So, Jules, anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up? There's been so many really great actionable tips and gold nuggets in this episode. I think there's going to be people taking lots and lots of notes. Anything else we haven't covered that you think is important to mention before we wrap up?
Well, I think the best thing to do when you're first getting started to think about SEO is make sure that we understand where we are right now. So that quite often people will come to me. There's probably 2 parts to that. Often people will come to me looking for SEO and we actually work out that they've already got some traffic coming to their website. So either they're networking or they're sending people through social posts or they're paying for ads. And so they've already got some traffic coming into the website, but nobody is converting. So quite often we need to work on those conversions. So making sure that your pages are set up in a way that it encourages people to take the action you want them to. And sometimes often we need to do a little bit of work on that before we start spending time and money on getting more traffic coming to your website. Let's make sure that you've at least got one page that's set up right and works well and actually gets people to convert. So that would be part of it. But also to make sure that we understand how many people are coming to our website, because quite often people are confused by that. They don't know how much traffic they're getting. They don't know where that traffic is coming from. They don't know whether they're showing up on Google or not. So there's 2 tools that can help with that. So you've mentioned Google Analytics. So both of these are free tools from Google that you can get. Anyone can get them. It's fairly easy to set it up. All you need to do is just go in and go to Google and type in Analytics, and then you can set up a free Google Analytics account. There's just a little snippet that you put onto your website that then every time somebody visits, you can see what route they've come into your website. And you can also see the actions they've taken. So you can see how long people have spent on particular pages, what pages are the most popular, what pages people are just bouncing off straight away. And then Google Search Console is the other one. And probably if you're starting to think about SEO, Search Console is probably a bit more helpful than the analytics. So essentially the difference is Google Search Console lets you know how Google sees your website. So it lets you know what Google understands about your website, what searches people are actually typing into Google that's leading to your website. So
that's really
to get that, it's really important, because especially I often see people who are either making changes to the website or they're doing a whole platform migration and haven't really thought about the SEO implications of that. And even if you haven't had an SEO strategy, that will be generating in the background. Google will be understanding things about your website. And you might have a link or you might have a photo that's actually bringing people to your website already. And then if you make changes to your website without understanding that, actually, if I do that, that's going to cut off the bits of traffic that I've already got. So that's what Google Search Console can help with that. If you set them up, they can be gathering data in the background, and your future self will definitely thank you for having that information there. Because working with someone like yourself, Cass, or me, where we actually can just help you understand what that information means. And so you know what the next steps are, really.
Oh, that's so true. I think that's really important. Actually, one of the questions just come to mind before we wrap up, if you don't mind. Something that comes up quite a lot and people ask me about is what sort of traffic do I need to see coming to my website before I get traction? Am I looking for 100 hits a week, 100 hits a day? Is there any ballpark figures at the moment that are of use to our audience on this?
So I would definitely say measure against yourself. So once you start thinking about that, I definitely find it helpful just to have a little Google sheet and just to keep track of how many visitors I'm getting per month for the different pages of my website, because then I can understand against my own figures. And realistically, unless you know someone who's got a very similar business to yours and they're happy to share that information, then it's really hard to compare. Remember, conversion rates are very, very low. So, sort of 3 to 5%. If you're getting 100 people on your page, if you're getting sort of 3 to 5 people then converting, then that would be considered a good conversion rate. Probably the only figure I would say around that is if you've had 100 people view your page and nobody has converted, that would be the point where I'd be starting to think, okay, we need to do something about the page. So rather than it necessarily being this is the amount of hits I need to get, compare it to yourself. And then that way you can start understanding your conversion rate and you can then work back from there. If you've got then a target, if you're doing a launch and you want to make this amount of money, if you understand what your conversion rate is, then you know how many people you need to get coming through your website, and you can start making a plan on, okay, how do I get that many people coming through my website? But it all starts from just understanding where you are right now.
You need that baseline so you can set that plan moving forward. Well, look, it's been a really great conversation, Jules. Thank you so much. So many great tips and written notes for myself to go in and remember to check some things. Look, it's one of those things you do it and then things get in the way and you forget to go back and fix things up and tweak things. So it is time for me to have a bit of a refresh on my own SEO as well. So thank you so much for the great tips. It's been a lovely conversation and I look forward to having you on again soon. Now, for those that want to connect with Jules and learn more about what she's got on offer, I'm going to put some show notes where you can connect with her. And Jules, for you, what's the best place for people to come and connect with you?
So my website, really, go to my website. You can find my links to my social in there. If anybody does want a free SEO report, I've got a lovely little tool that just gives them a free report.
Oh, look, thanks so much. It's been an absolute pleasure and I look forward to having you on again soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Wellness Business Academy podcast with me, Cass Duffield. If you are interested in growing your practice, come get my free guide, The Practice Success Toolkit, at cassduffield.com or grab it in the show notes. Thanks for being here and I'll see you next time.